Okay. So Rayim Tov, everyone. We're ready to continue part 2 of Parshas Bo. And we left you off right at the end of Makos Bechoros. So let's just share that screen here. Let's share the desktop. And here's, there we go. There we go. That's the Bechoros. That's not the Bechoros. Sorry. That's we didn't tell you what it was yet, but that was the darkness. And remember, what does the general do why did they bring darkness when they're attacking? Because the defenders are taken captive and held in prison. And all you see is their eyeballs. Everything else is in the dark. Were you ever in a jail? Anybody raise your hand if you were in a jail? No, Baruch Hashem, you weren't in a jail. The olden jails was like a hole in the ground. And it just covered it up, and you were living in a hole in the ground. And all people could see were your eyeballs. It was all dark. So Hashem sent the darkness, which trapped the Egyptians in their houses. Okay, now what was the plan of that? What was the point of the Choshech? The Choshech was no warning, but just like they darkened the Jewish people's lives in every way, their lives felt dark, they made their lives dark. And Moshe started the plague, and it came from the heavens. And again, the Khartoumim could not copy that at all. Is to remind us that there's nobody like Hashem completely. Okay, so that's what's happening in the darkness. So now this was like really bad. Because now, remember, the Jews, they couldn't see anything for a week, for 6 days. So now finally, Paro summons Moshe and Aaron. He says, go serve your God already. You could take your little children with you also. Everybody could go. But just leave your animals behind as a security so I can make sure that they're going to come back. And Moshe said, nope. We got to take all our animals with us, including those that are owned by a Jew and an Egyptian together. And moreover than that, we want you to give us some of your animals because we don't know how many korbanot we will have to bring. So what did Paro understand from Moshe's answer? That Moshe obeyed only Hashem and would not listen to anybody else. So that got Paro so upset, he yells at Moshe, go away from here and beware of appearing to me again. Don't you dare come back to the palace. For on the day you come back and see my face, you shall die. And Moshe, think he was scared? Think he ran away crying in a corner? Nope. Moshe said, very well spoken. I will indeed not return here to see you. And Hashem told me that I will never again come to see you. You know what Moshe meant by that? That Moshe's not going to come to see Paro, but Paro's going to come in his pajamas to see Moshe later on, as we shall see soon. Oh, but now that Moshe said, I'm not going to come back, Hashem said, okay, while you're in front of Paro, I want you to tell him something. It's the only time that Hashem spoke to Moshe in Paro's palace. And this is what Hashem tells Moshe to tell Paro. But before he does that, I forgot something. What did I forget? I forgot to tell you the name of that 9th plague. We just finished the 9th plague, so we need a name for that plague. We've already learned Bechoros is the hail. Arba are those locusts, those scary locusts. What was the name of this plague of the darkness? Who could tell me the first letter? Raise your hand if you know the first letter of this plague. Okay, Ariella's hand is up. What is the
Ches.
first? That's correct. It is a ches. Let's find the ches. Bing. Okay, what's the next letter? Tehila.
Shin.
Shin. Correct. And what's the last letter? Who knows the last letter? Let's see. Anybody else who knows the last letter? Ellie, is your hand up or it's just behind your head? Can't tell. Oh, okay. It's probably just behind your head. Okay, so let's go to okay, Tehila again.
Sophie.
Chaf Sophies is correct. Where is the Chaf Sophies? Bingo. And what does it say? Choshech. Choshech is darkness. And now we have that first letter, the ches. We're going to turn it red. Okay, so we almost got everything. We've got the bays, we got the aleph, and we got the ches. Where is the ches? Bingo. And we got the streichel. I mean, we got one more to add. We've got the tzach is the first three, dam tzvardei akinim, adash, orav dever shchin, be'ach, one letter to go, which we'll get to very soon. Okay, now we're going to hear about the 10th and final Makkah. Here's the next picture. Whoa, death of the firstborn. Oh, that looks like a firstborn to me. And he's sitting on the ground. Let's hear what Moshe says to Paro. He says, I will bring one more plague, one more Makkah to Egypt, and this will be as destructive as all the other plagues put together. After this plague, not only are you going to allow us to leave, but you're going to be pushing us out. You're going to be chasing us out over here. And this is what Hashem says. It's still coming in a couple weeks. It's not coming so soon. He says at about midnight, in the middle of the night. Now, most of you boys and girls are asleep. I don't know if you've ever been up at midnight. You go to bed 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, maybe 10 o'clock, maybe 11 o'clock. But at midnight, Hashem is going to be traveling over Egypt. And Hashem's going to look in every single house. And he's going to look for the firstborn, the Bechor, whether he's a boy or a girl. Raise your hands if you are a Bechor. If you're the firstborn, Tehila's a Bechor, Eli's a Bechor. Let's see this. Oh, Ariella is a Bechor, and so is Matana. Well, you got a lot to be thankful for, guys. Hashem says, I'm going to look for the firstborn, and I'm going to kill the firstborn. It doesn't matter if he's the firstborn of Paro, who's the crown prince, or the lowliest slave in Egypt. The firstborn, there's going to be screaming and crying, the likes of which you never heard before. And then all your ministers are going to come to Moshe. And Moshe points, yes, you, Mr. General, you, Mr. Duke, all your nobles. They will bow to me and beg us to leave. Now, Paro thinks for a minute. That doesn't sound so bad. How many firstborns are there in Egypt altogether? Maybe a few hundred. Because remember, it's the firstborn. So if you have 10 kids, only the oldest is born. But Paro didn't realize that the people in Egypt weren't so nice. And they did a lot of not nice things that I can't explain to little children. It's a little bit too hard to understand. But there were many more firstborns than they thought there were. But anyway, and they were making jokes about it. They thought this wasn't going to be such a big thing. Matter of fact, an old Egyptian lady came out to Moshe and says, how can the crying of this plague be as terrible as you say? Take me, for example. I don't have a father. I don't have a mother. I don't have brothers and sisters. They all died already. My only son is dead. Nothing's going to happen to me. There's nothing there. You're phony baloney. And Moshe said, no, you will all cry. Guaranteed. You will all cry if you don't let the Jewish people go. We're giving you a chance to let the Jewish people go. And with that, Moshe leaves. And that's it. Well, when did this all take place, boys and girls? It took place 2 weeks before the actual Makkah was going to come. And you know what? It needed to take 2 weeks because there was a lot that the Jewish people had to do in 2 weeks. They had to get ready for some amazing things. Well, that very day, Hashem comes to Moshe and said, I'm giving now the first mitzvah to the Jewish people, the very first, number one mitzvah to the Jewish people. I'm going to tell you today, and you tell it to all the Jews, the very first mitzvah. Ooh, this is, not everybody knows this. Not everybody knows what the first mitzvah that Moshe told the Jewish people to do. Okay, let's see if Ellie knows. Yep. Go ahead. You're unmuted. You could tell me. I don't know. Ellie's having a little trouble getting it out. He's trying hard. You are unmuted, Ellie. You could tell me. Something must be wrong with your computer because I'm not hearing you. Maybe ask your mommy to help you over there. Okay, let's see. Shira, what do you think is the first mitzvah they got?
Is it something about like Rosh Chodesh?
Yes, you're right. Something about Rosh Chodesh. Excelente. Now, what is this? This is an interesting thing. If I asked you today, what day is today in the calendar? So if you're not Jewish, you say today is January 18th. It's the 18th day of January. Now, how they come up with January and 18, that's not a topic for today. But you go out in the world and you're going to look wherever it says it's January 18th. Hashem says, no, that's not the calendar I want you guys to have. And you know how they understand the calendar? They understand by looking at the sun. And they count the days of the sun. It takes 365 days for the sun, for the earth to rotate around the sun. And that's how they figure a year. But the Jewish people, they count the calendar differently, completely. They have a different calendar. And what they do is they count not by the sun, but they count by something else in the sky. What is that other thing that we count the calendar by? Yeah, Matana, do you know the answer to that question?
The moon.
Yes, they count by the moon. They count by, it takes 1 month for the moon to go around the earth. Why we count like the moon, that's a good question that we'll talk about later. But anyway, and we count by the moon. And what's the first Jewish month? Who knows the name of the first Jewish month according to the Jewish calendar? Be careful when you answer this question. The first month according to the Jewish calendar. Looking for some hands. Okay, Tehila.
Tishrei.
Tishrei is close, but not correct. That's the first month for the world calendar, not for the Jewish calendar. I see some Michalowicz hands up. Who wants to tell us the first month? Got to unmute if you want to tell me.
He was saying.
Nisan.
Nisan is the first month in the Jewish calendar. Now Hashem does say Tishrei. Tila was right. Tishrei is the month for the world calendar that Hashem created the world, but for the Jewish calendar, it's Nisan, because this is the month that we went out of Egypt. This is the month that we became Hashem's people. This is the month that Hashem was waiting for all the world years that was going on. And Hashem says to Moshe, how are you going to make the calendar? Every time the moon, the moon, as it travels around the earth, there's different things you see. Go out tonight after 6 o'clock. Everybody go outside and take a look. And you're going to see a moon that looks like a banana. It's going to look like a shiny banana tonight. You get a little bit of the moon. And as the month goes, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger till the middle of the month. It's a full moon, a big ball. And then it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller till it, poof, vanishes. So Hashem says to Moshe, the way we're going to count the days is by the month, by the moon. And you go take a look. When the moon vanishes, the moon is vanished. Then it's going to be the first day when it's going to peek out. It's going to be a little, the littlest crescent. And when you see the little bit, that's the new month. That's Rosh Chodesh. And we're going to count by the month. We're not going to count. And we're going to call the first month Nisan, as they're going to call it the first month when we came out of Egypt. And the next month's the second month we came out of Egypt. Because every day in our whole lives, we got to remember we came out of Egypt. And that was the first thing he told Moshe. That was the very first mitzvah that Hashem gave to the Jewish people. Now, what was the second mitzvah that Hashem gave to the Jewish people? Because he's going to say it right after this one. He's going to say it right after this one. What is the second mitzvah that he gave to the Jewish people? Oh boy, I see that all the atlases know. What's the answer?
The Korban Pesach.
The Korban Pesach. That's right. And that's what Hashem also says. Tell the Jewish people, this is on Rosh Chodesh, the first day of Nisan. Hashem says, tell the Jewish people 10 days from now, 10 days. Oh, you're going to show me a picture of the Korban Pesach. Very nice. Beautiful picture. I see the matzah, the sheep. Amazing. 10 days from now, send the Jews on a very dangerous mission. It's going to be scary. What is this dangerous mission? The Jewish people have to go, every Jewish family, every Jewish house has to go into the Egyptian marketplace and say, I want to buy a sheep. I want to buy a sheep. And they say, what do you want a sheep for? He said, I want a sheep. I'm going to walk into my house and I'm going to let it stay in my house for 4 days. What are you going to do? Look at it? Be friends with the sheep? Pet it on its back? What are you going to do with the sheep? I'm going to watch it for 4 days to make sure that it's a healthy sheep. And then on the 14th day of Nisan, after it's in my house for 4 days, oh, I forgot to tell you. What did the Egyptians think the sheep was? Was it just a little, or did it have something special? What was special about the sheep in Egypt? What did the Egyptians think was so special about the sheep? Yes, Ariella?
Were their gods?
It was their God. It was their God. Now, somebody's God, you got to treat it with respect. So the Jews would tell them, you want to know what we're going to do with the sheep? They figured, oh, of course, you're going to bow down to my sheep and going to give it gifts, right? No, not exactly. What are you going to do? You're going to build a big temple for it and give it lots of gold and silver, right? No, not exactly. So what are you going to do? I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to kill it. I'm going to kill it. What? You're going to kill our idols? What we worship, our sheep, you're going to kill what we worship? Now, Hashem says to Moshe, go tell them to take that sheep in front of the Egyptians and take it to their house and tie it to their bedpost. And the Egyptians will see in the middle of the day what you're doing. Now, I want to ask you a question, boys and girls. Do you think the Egyptians are going to be happy watching Jewish people taking their idol and telling them they're going to kill their idol? No, they're not going to be happy. And I think they might want to try to stop the Jewish people, wouldn't you? And they may even, what if the Jew says, I'm going to take it anyway, they might try to kill the Jewish people. Okay, now I want to ask each one of you, if you were in Egypt then, and you remember being beaten up as a slave to the wicked Egyptians, and Hashem and Moshe are telling you, go take the idol of the Egyptians in front of their face and tell them that you're taking it because you're going to kill that Egyptian. Be honest. Don't fool. Don't be a tricky person. Do you think you'd be brave enough to take it in front of their eyes? Well, there's some honest people here. You're shaking your heads. I'd be too scared. And Moshe said, I think the Jewish people are going to be a little bit too scared. How can I command them to, Moshe says, how can I command them to do such a thing? And Hashem says, you know what? I'm making an oath. I swear they will not leave this land until they first slaughter the gods of Egypt. And they have to show that these gods can do nothing. And tell them a little bit more about this animal. You're going to hold this animal. It's going to be in your house for 4 days. And then you're going to go out in the backyard so everybody can see. And you're going to take a sharp knife and slit its throat. Would you like me to show you someone shechting a korban pesach? Would you like to see that? Well, maybe tomorrow. If I can remember. We'll show you what it looks like. It's a lot of blood all over the place. And you're going to, when you slaughter it, all the blood goes flying out. So you're going to take a big bowl, catch all the blood. Then you're going to take some grass and dip it in the blood. And you're going to take this blood and put it somewhere. Where are they going to put it? Where are they supposed to put the blood? That's they dipping the grass into the blood. Where are they supposed to see all that blood in that grass? Let's see who's got their hands up. Who knows? It's a tricky question. Seems like Ariella knows. Yes, what are they going to do with it?
Put it on their doorpost.
They're going to take it exactly. They're going to, when you have a door, you have one post here, one post there, one on the top. They're going to put like a painter. They're going to paint the house red. They're going to paint because blood is red. And they're going to paint the doorpost red, the part on the top of the door red, the part of the bottom is going to be red. And everybody's going to know that their house is a house that the animal was destroyed, was killed. Now, they were told that you have to eat this korban pesach. Now, there's a lot of ways you could eat meat. You can take meat and you can put it in a pot and cook it in water. You can boil it. You could boil it. You could take meat, put it in a pan and put it in the oven, and you can bake it. And there's a third way. You could take the animal and take a sharp stick and go right through the animal from its rear all the way through its mouth. And you put it a roaring fire, a barbecue, and you roast the whole animal, the animal whole. You roast it over a big fire. There's 3 ways you can eat meat that's raw. Again, you could boil it, you can bake it, you could roast it. Now, which way did the Jews have to eat this animal, this sheep? There's only one way they were allowed to eat it. Does anybody know the way to eat it? And if you know why, you'll be a real super genius. Well, I see this is a very hard question. And the answer is they'd have to roast it. Roast it. Imagine you got this little sheepy and you take a big sharp stick right through the sheep, all the way through, and you roast it over the fire. And you got a big barbecue sheep. Why do you think Hashem wanted us to roast it? The answer is so we won't hide what we're doing. We didn't want to hide. We didn't want to show we're scaredy cats. You know, if you're cooking something, you put it in a pot and you cover the pot so nobody knows what's in the pot. If you bake something in the oven, you put it in the oven, nobody knows what's in the oven. But when you roast something, that has to be outside. And the roast is open to the air. And every Egyptian is going to walk by and see their idol with a stick right through it. And it's roasting over the fire. That's like so insulting to their idol. And the Jews have to be brave to say that this is what we're doing, and we're not ashamed and we're not afraid that we're roasting their idol. And then when it's good and ready, what are you gonna do? You invite the family and you have dinner. And you're gonna eat a piece of their idol. You're eating their idol. Eating the sheep together with matzah and together with moror. And that's going to be the first Pesach Seder ever in history. And you know when that's happening? Right before midnight. Right before midnight. On the day before, they're going to kill the firstborn. Everyone's roasting their Korban Pesach. The blood is on the doorposts. The Jews are in their house. Beautiful, tasty sheep meat with matzah and moror. And while they're eating, there's going to be screaming of all the Egyptian firstborn that's going to die. And Hashem tells Moshe, and not only going to do it this time, every year forever, as long as there is a Jewish people, on the 14th day of Nisan, we will all sacrifice and bring a Korban Pesach in the Beis Hamikdash, and then we'll eat it at night on Pesach together with matzah and moror. That's what's going to happen. Now, we're going to see tomorrow exactly what happened in Egypt. We're going to see what happened. But remember, what's it like conquering a city? Look at the last point, death of the firstborn. After the city is taken, when you defeat the city, you capture the city, the enemy leaders are executed. So in the death of the firstborn, the Egyptian leadership died in the middle of the night. Now, I want you boys and girls to remind me of the following things tomorrow, things I shouldn't forget. There was a big thing that happened right before the Jews brought the Korban Pesach. I'm going to ask you a question. If you're a firstborn boy in Egypt, wouldn't you want Moshe to get out of the town early so you don't die? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about exactly what happened at that time. Lots of excitement. And what do you got to remind me? I got to remind me, where's the picture of shechting the Korban Pesach and what that looks like? And there's a few more other bloody things we need to talk about. So we're going to have to, we're going to have to stop the share for now.
Okay.
And wish everybody a good day. And Emir Hashem will continue the exciting story tomorrow.